I started to see on, of course, we've been hearing about the ozone layer and everything, and there was kind of under the sun. I still sit out. And I don't pay. I'm not going to let a bunch of people telling me stuff. So I sat out in the sun, But I did notice, yeah, it was a little hotter. I mean, it would hit my skin. It would be a little more intense. And, of course you don't look at the sun, but I mean, you couldn't even look at it as much as I used to when I was a kid. A kid used to kind of look up there for a few seconds. So what, yellow thing. Now it seemed more white. And so, I'm not going to bore you with that part because everybody has their experiences and I don't want to get into a big discussion on it. But about a year ago, I noticed, I started hearing about this thing. Some woman on YouTube, a kind of a nice woman, kind of a person you kind of have some respect for. She was talking about chemtrails. Now they were putting stuff in the sky, and I just ignored it. I thought, oh God, I mean, life is hard enough, and I don't want to. I mean, and who would be crazy enough to put junk in the sky? I mean, come on. So I avoided it for a long time. Then a few months ago, coming into the present, a few months ago, I don't know. I was on YouTube. You know how it is on YouTube. You get kind of into one thing, and there's a bunch of little thumbnails up there, and they seem interesting, and so off you go, and then at some point you stop because it gets to be, more and more degraded. But and then you go back to whatever thing you were looking. Maybe you were looking for, how to fix a clip in iMovie or something. You go back to that. But you get off on these little side trips, excursions. And some of the stuff I saw there kind of said, yeah, look at that. Look at those planes. And they had pictures of planes dumping stuff and pictures from up above. So, I didn't want to. I didn't want to. I mean, it's so bizarre. Chemical trails? Come on. I mean, really. But, so I started looking up. I started looking in the sky. And about the time I started looking in the sky, okay, well, then I realized there they were. Big, funny. And I started to remember things, how the clouds have take funny shapes lately. Because when I was a kid, there were never any funny shapes. Clouds were always beautiful and sort of, whatever they looked like. I mean, they were always had this kind of thing about them that was nice and, you know, wonderful, beautiful. Maybe wonderful, something thinking, oh God, who is this? But I'm just going to go ahead and say, they were wonderful in a sense, they were wonderful. They weren't offensive. The clouds were never like, what is that? They were interesting, things like that. So in the last, I've been noticing that. Then I noticed these chemtrails things. I did. I'd be driving along and take a trip and say, okay, and look around just to see. Sure enough, there'd be over there and over here, maybe two or three. And she said it was a bunch of chemicals, coming down. They've been doing it for years. The whole thing is just so crazy. But, as you know, there was quite a few crazy things going on. But, I mean, this was something, because, here's the thing. As long as I can, come out of my little trailer or my house or whatever you want to call it and go outside and it's, God provides. I mean, it's a beautiful sky. You feel good out there regardless of what, things you've been looking at and you've been up to doing, trying to, looking at the roads. Kind of difficult these days, isn't it? And so, some of it, part of it, some of it's great, wonderful things happening, sure, but all other stuff too. And so, go outside though, and it'd be great. I live on a ranch out in the country. Fresh air, good vibes, feels good, nice weather, and so one of the things, because they say that you only miss something once it's gone. Now, when I was raising up, one of the things that we used to do, and I did it up until just a few years ago too. And I've always been able to do that, and so has everybody else. Look up, you kind of look out in the distance, and there you see the sky. And that sky has sufficient depth that and wonderful color a lot of the time. Wonderful blue, a deep blue or a lighter blue that's somehow kind of happy in some kind of way, as sort of a happy blue. And you look out there, and so much depth in that sky that your feeling and kind of goes out there, and it's sort of free out there, and it's sort of like it sort of nurtures that feeling. I mean, I'm looking at it now. I never paid much attention to it. It's like get up and have good air to breathe. You don't really think about it after a while. So, well, it's really nice if we do. Now let's see what we're doing here and go on. And so it was like that. So I noticed this wonderful, I'd have that feeling. It was kind of nurturing, every day. Just about every day, maybe not every day, but every day, I would kind of look up and see that and feel that thing. It's good, So I could think, and that's why I didn't really like the chemtrail idea, because I could think that, all stuff that's going on, I've been pretty lucky that somehow my own little space that I have was still kind of unaffected, sort of unbelievably so. How could it be unaffected and all these things? But, it's pretty unaffected. Sure, electricity affects the atmosphere, and different things affect the atmosphere, but, it's still okay. It's still okay. So this kind of really kind of put me through something, because now, okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself. So then I started looking at those chemtrails, and I started talking to Son about this. He's about half my age. And I was talking to him about the sky. And I started to realize that lately I haven't been looking out and doing that same thing that I did for a long time. And the reason is because there's some kind of thing there. I didn't, at first I didn't think about it, or, I wasn't exactly aware of it. I just know what I did, because I kind of look out and I wouldn't get the feedback. No, it wouldn't be that nice free feeling. It would be kind of like if you look at something just and say, well, it's a little dirty, isn't it? So you don't really want to touch that. You want to look over there. You want to look over here where it's real nice. And so there was just a very subtle thing there. Instead of looking out, seeing a clean, wonderful sky, there was like a kind of something there. So that was sad, But, so I gradually stopped looking. So when I look at the sky now, it's kind of a guarded look. I don't try to, I don't just, I kind of look so far and then I just go on about my business. A lot of times the sky's, kind of around here in the central coast of California. It'll be blue, sure, but it's kind of a mixed blue. There's something else in there, and then a lot of times it'll be kind of a gray, sometimes it's fine, okay? Every now and then, clouds, blue sky, but still, even then, and then, as time went by, a few months went by, and I noticed that the amount of junk in the sky was actually having the effect that the sky was now smaller because of the density of whatever it is that's in there. So you wouldn't have that vast distance. I mean, you could see kind of a long way, driving across the valley. Yeah, I could see quite a long way, but in that long way, there was almost invariably kind of a barrier or something that, okay, fine, we won't look at that anymore. Not really terribly, so I don't have to go around like this. So then the other day, that's why I'm making this talk. So then the other day I realized, my God, Chicken Little was right. The sky is falling in. And so what's happening is that the dirt and the junk that man is putting up into the atmosphere is polluting the atmosphere, and it's making it more dense further out, and it's not so dense close up, but it's still more, further out it's more dense than it was, and so it's making what you see come gradually down. So the sky is falling in, and Chicken Little was right. Aw. It's an old folk tale. Poor Chicken Little, something hit her on the head, and they all made out that she was such an idiot and turkey lurkey, and everybody else said, well, it was just, and we always took that as a kind of cautionary tale not to panic about it. So, but I'm making another joke about it now. So then the other day, and then the last thing is, then I realized, oh my God, oh my gosh, that world that I went to, they had a small sky there too. Wow, maybe I kind of spiritually, I was visiting the earth in a kind of a spiritual form and seeing it from that point of view. Maybe that's what was happening. Oh God, so we're taking our wonderful sky that we've always had, that God, that the Almighty arranged for us to have. You can say whatever you want. You can say that it all happened accidentally. I know, but for those of you who possibly have more common sense, I'll just come out and say, that the Almighty gives us a great place here. Uh-oh. And we're ruining it. We're closing down ourselves. We're closing down our own sky. Isn't that amazing that we would be so kind of disregard and disrespect and be like that about it's like kids, you have a beautiful house and they get into it, they trash it, think nothing of it. Oh, they don't even notice it. They don't seem to have any reverence or any kind of, reverence. I don't want to be religious, not, but I mean, kind of any sort of understanding about, well, yeah, sure, and then you better keep it clean too, because otherwise it'll get all messed up after a while, and things will rot, and it won't be as much fun, so, let's take care of it. So, I just thought it was kind of funny, and so I wanted to mention it. I'm going to call this video "The Sky is Falling." Okay, well, there you go. All right, that's it. Okay, bye-bye.